How can you become a master at anything? What comes to mind when you think about being a master? Just take a breath, get connected. Who is a master to you? Words are like signposts. They can mean a million different things to a million different people. When I think about a master, the first person who shows up is Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee, for anyone who doesn't know, is a world famous martial artist, renowned as a kung fu master. He created his own fighting style and he became a celebrity with all sorts of super popular movies. And he's got a few great sayings. Let me know in the comments in the chat who a master is to you. Who's the first person that pops up? Always trust that first thing. So a master, they've mastered a system, whatever that system is. They excel in it. So Bruce Lee is famous for saying, do not fear the person who's practiced 10,000 kicks one time, but fear the person who's practiced one kick 10,000 times. So they have perfected a single kick, a single move, a single system. And I really love that, the essence of that. There are some things in your life you've already mastered. I'd love for you to embrace that you are already a master at certain things. You can make that a part of your identity. I have a 4-year-old daughter and a 1-year-old daughter. My 4-year-old thinks I am the smartest person in the entire world. To her, I am an absolute genius. I know how rainbows are made. I know how water comes out of a tap. This like her mind is blown by my mastery. To someone who doesn't speak your language, you are a master. You have mastered a language. You have mastered how to walk, most of you, unless you have some kind of disability, in which case you've still mastered how to be in your body. And if you think about that, you can teach a baby how to walk. You can teach a baby how to talk. Like that is something you do without thinking. And this is what Bruce Lee was alluding to. When you've practiced one kick 10,000 times, you're no longer consciously thinking about it. You are subconsciously doing it. It's an automatic reaction. This is what, to me, mastery is all about. And masters, if you think about a great master, now, whatever you believe this story is, Yeshua, who some people call Jesus or Christ, this idea of turning water into wine and helping blind people to see. So that level of mastery, there is a difference between hoping you can turn water into wine, believing you can turn water into wine, if you can feel the difference in that, but believing still has doubt in there. Masters operate at the level of knowing. They know. You can make a blind person see. And so it is. When you first opened your eyes today, you knew you could speak. You didn't hope you could speak or believe you could speak. You knew. Again, unless you're mute, in which case you've excelled in communicating in some other way. So how does that feel? Knowing that you are already a master in something. Can you own that? And whatever you put after the words I am become your reality. So you can say with absolute integrity, I am a master. Try saying that out loud 3 times and see how that feels. I am a master. Say it in your own time. Say it with conviction. Feel it activating you at that deepest level as you remember who you truly are. And by calling in your mastery of one thing, it opens the doors to so many other things that you are a master of. And today I'm going to teach you the concept of mastery, how you can apply this to any area of your life. I am a master quantum healer. I have mastered quantum healing. I perform miracles. And when I say I don't mean this human Luke. I mean the bigger I, the I that makes your fingernails grow and your hair grow, and that grows everyone's fingernails and hair on the entire planet. Some people call it the I am presence. Some people call it their highest self. Some people call it the energy that creates everything. Whatever you call that thing that took a sperm and an egg and made you and grew your body and your eyes and your ears and all your organs and whatever that is what I call in when I work with people. And that is what I teach people to do. And there's an idea in being a master that often then you will attract people who want to be your students. You'll attract people who want to come and learn from you in some kind of a way. And let me know, those of you who are watching this, if you have already started teaching, have you embraced an identity of being a teacher? Do you have students or disciples? Do you have people that you help and support that might be formally as some kind of coaching or mentorship, or it might be informally like I do with my daughters? What have you been teaching people? And I'm going to share with you another life-changing paradigm shift. So we have these lenses that we use to see the world. So now you can see the world through the lens that you are already a master. You have dedicated yourself to certain things. Isn't that phenomenal? And think about the things that you have been teaching people your whole life. And I'd love now, before we continue, for you to make a list of all the things that you can confidently say you are a master of. So you could write those down in your notepad. You could do it inside your mind if you would like to. There's something very powerful that happens when we write things down. We take things from the etheric realm and we make it physical. If you've ever meditated, so I am a master meditator. I teach meditation to a very high level. I actually teach other meditation teachers how to meditate. So I'm a teacher of teachers. And this is a very beautiful thing for me. And I know a lot of you watching this are already masters in some kind of craft. And it is an absolute honor that you would come and listen to me. And I believe we all have different pieces of the puzzle that we can teach each other. So what are your superpowers? What have you mastered? I'd love for you to write that in the chat, in the comments. So I know who to recommend to you. I know who I can send your way. I've got someone here saying I've mastered poetry. Amazing. So I didn't know you'd mastered poetry. So that's pretty cool. And we've known each other for a long time. And so that's something that maybe you're not leading with enough. Maybe there's some way you can bring that in to move people. And someone saying I've mastered sales. Phenomenal. I've mastered hypnosis. Brilliant. Yeah, what have you mastered? Sales is a super interesting one, everyone. So I have been a sales coach and sales trainer for a $2 billion company. I have trained hundreds of people online, on stage, and in person in sales, maybe thousands. And I can confidently say hundreds. And if you count my videos I've made, like I did a conference in India where I taught sales, a lot of people saw that video. Um, so I have mastered sales to a very high level, but I am still learning sales constantly. There are levels to it, and you can be a master at telesales and be terrible at selling on stage. It's a different skill. You can be a master at selling on stage and be terrible at selling on the phone. You know, it's very interesting. And pitching, learning how to share your ideas, your visions, and get people enrolled in your visions. Powerful skill. I can tell you confidently that one of the best salespeople I have ever met is my 4-year-old daughter. She is a master of sales. She almost always gets what she wants, like every time. And I've not taught her this. This is like inherent in her being. If she wants, we have these ice lollies. They're made of pure orange juice, like it's like frozen popsicle. And she'll say she likes to have them first thing when she wakes up for her breakfast. And I'll say, oh, let's have some fruit first. Let's have whatever something more nourishing, even though it's just orange juice. She knows exactly what to say to get her way. She just knows. She pulls on your emotions. She knows how to negotiate. If she asks for five and you say no, she'll say, well, can I have two? She knows how to bat her eyes in the right perfect way so that she gets exactly what she wants. Let me know if any of you are good at that. Ladies, it doesn't quite translate so much for the guys, but I know a lot of you are very good at that. And I love it, by the way. It's so good. There's something inherent in the masculine where we want to help the feminine, that kind of damsel in distress thing. My 4-year-old just knows it. I don't know how she knows it. She's a master of sales. So think about your life. Do you usually get what you want? Are you really good at if you want to go to a restaurant or you want to watch a certain movie or you want to go on vacation somewhere, like, do you know exactly how to manipulate people to get them to do whatever you want? You probably do, right? So you're a master at sales, or at the core. Now, like I said, not every kind of sales translates well. So you might be a master at selling to your partner or your best friend, but we make it weird when we start trying to sell to someone who is a client. And I've been teaching this on stage, by the way, for 8 years. This exact thing that I'm teaching you now. Again, it's like I've perfected it. I keep refining it. You think about a child who wants an ice cream. Daddy, 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 please, can I have an ice cream? No. Oh, but daddy, please, you let me have one last time. No, we're not gonna have an ice cream. We're gonna go home and have your dinner. Oh, but daddy, I'll be so good. I'll be behaved all the way. I promise. I'll you know. You just have it. You just have it. Now, why do we make it weird when we start selling on the phone? And I'll tell you what makes it weird to most people when they start selling their own thing that they actually care about. And this is the same with public speaking too. So I have mastered public speaking to a very high level. I teach public speaking. I run a public speaking academy called the StandOut Speakers. I've made 6 courses about public speaking. And you might look at me and think, what? You've mastered it? Like, I used to be so nervous, shaking, sweating. Now I'm super confident, relaxed. And I know there are better public speakers than me, but I would say I'm in the top 1% public speakers in the world in terms of my confidence and the way I can communicate. If you look at a video of me from 8 years ago, I was a wreck. So nervous, monotone, boring. I didn't know how to get people excited. I didn't know how to move people in that way unless I was selling someone else's stuff. I was a pro. I could stand on stage and speak about something that wasn't my own thing. And isn't it interesting how we make these distinctions? So, who said they were a master at speaking your native language? So, I think most of you said you speak, right? A language. So, you are a master of speaking. And now it's just a case of how do we translate that? You can confidently say, I am a master speaker. I am a master at speaking. You are a master at speaking. And now the question is when you put the word public speaking in there, does that change? And if it does change, can you come on a journey and I can help you with that, or go find another coach, find someone who can support you. Just message me, say public speaking. I've got so many courses I can send you. And this is one of my great joys. And think about yourself when you are teaching people, when you're coaching people, when you're training people in whatever you're doing. Do you ever just think about the ripple effect of what you create in that master student dynamic? So if I teach you how to be a powerful public speaker, you are now going to go and inspire countless people. And maybe you'll even go and teach public speaking to some other people at some point. And this is really cool for me. It's kind of like we have a big torch or fire in our heart. Some people say a candle. And you can take that candle and you can light a candle in someone else's heart. And have you ever thought the idea that a candle can light a million candles and it never takes anything away from it? So when you ignite that spark in someone else's heart, it's phenomenal. I do this in so many ways. I spent a year perfecting handstands and I learned how to be really good at handstands. I sucked at the start and then I got really good. And now I do handstands on stage in a suit just to shake things up and like mix things up with people because fitness is really important to me. I've been bodybuilding since I was in my teens, and so I've got almost 20 years experience bodybuilding, and I find it amazing what the human body can do when we train like an athlete, when we actually push ourselves. Like even if you are 60 right now, you can get a six pack. Like you can become an athlete. There's a guy, he's his Instagram is Fit Old Boy. He's a Polish guy. You can go on Instagram or Facebook and type in fit at FITAT fit at, and then put whatever age you want. So look at people who are fit at 60 as a hashtag. Phenomenal 60-year-olds who are stronger than me, who are like can do things I can't do. They could do more pull-ups than me. They do everything like more than me. And I'm like, wow. Type in fit at 70 and now you're going to get shown up by some 70-year-olds, right? And even fit at 80. I just saw an 87-year-old guy who's way healthier than me, ripped six pack, like incredible. So this fit old boy, he started working out at 62 years old. Now he looks like a superhero. He's been on Celebrity Dancing with the Stars. He's been on Ninja Warrior, the TV show, and he basically like says, "Hey, wherever you're at right now, like change your life if you want to." So one of the things that masters do is they inspire other people to even become a beginner. And one of my favorite quotes I've ever heard in my entire life. I love quotes. I'm a massive quote geek, by the way. Let me know if you are as well. Let me know what your favorite quotes are in the chat, in the comments. One of my favorite quotes ever is that a master has failed more times than a beginner has even tried. A master has failed more times than a beginner has even tried. And there's another version of that, which is the first step to getting good at something is to suck at something. So, the first step to getting good at salsa dancing is to suck at salsa dancing. The first step to being an amazing q-rit practitioner or quantum healer is to suck at being a quantum healer. Now, we actually try within q-rit, within our quantum healing teaching, to minimize the amount of time that you suck for because the training is done in a certain way. I take you through it step by step. There's 11 steps, and as long as you do those 11 steps, almost everybody gets it on their first try. Now, not almost everyone is successful at salsa dancing on their first try, but almost everyone is successful at q-rit on their first try because of the map and the steps, and because I'm a master teacher. So that might also be, if you're thinking about your list, are you a master teacher? And here's the lens, the other lens that I want to share with you. You have been teaching people your whole life. Whether it was your little brother or your little sister, whether it was your niece or your nephew, or whether you were at work in a job and when the new trainee came in, you were the person that they asked to sit with because they knew that you were really good at what you did. Like you are a master teacher. You have been training people in something. And now it's a case of can you translate that and own that into what you're doing here, whatever your business is, whatever it is that you want to do. So these reframes are really cool to me. So first we reframe that you are a master. We've reframed that you are a master at many different things. Now you listed them out. You are a master speaker, and now you are a master teacher. How different is your life story if you start writing from those perspectives? And one of the things that catches some people out when they first start the journey is this lack of self-belief and this lack of trust in themselves or confidence, especially with public speaking. So many people don't realize they've been speaking their whole life. And think about this public speaking. If you go and watch a movie in the cinema or you read a book that's amazing and you want to go and tell your best friend to go to watch that movie, how good are you at selling the movie? Like you will speak so clearly, you'll get so excited. You'll be like, and this happened and that happened, and you need to go and see this. It's going to be amazing. When do you want to go? I'll come with you. You know, you like that enthusiasm and excitement is so present. So you are a master at speaking. You can share passionately about something. And then it just becomes different for most people when they stand on a stage or make a video. Uh, Making videos. I say I'm a master at making videos. I had my own TV show. It took me 6 months to get good at making videos. I sucked at making videos. Let me know in the chat, in the comments, what do you suck at right now? What are you like a beginner at? And remember this idea. The masters that I know that are truly masters own that they are also eternal students. It is a paradox. I can sit with any one of you and you can teach me something that I suck at. You can be the master and I can be the student for sure. Probably in a lot of things. You have probably got some amazing thing that can help me if I committed to it. And this is one of the things, isn't it? What do we commit to? So when you're writing your list of things you suck at, please do just take a minute, take a breath, get connected. What are you trying to master right now? What are you on the path to mastering? Trying is a bit of a weak word, isn't it? What are you on the path of mastery towards? And in 5 years, you'll look back and now you'll play your guitar fluently. Maybe you're a bit rough right now around the edges. I know someone who's just about to take their driving test. They've been practicing driving for almost 3 years. Now they're finally ready to take their test. When you pass your driving test, are you then a master driver? I was not. I was not. I know someone who is, they are a counselor. They're training to be a counselor, and they have done 4 years on a course learning to be a counselor. And I said to them, wow, you must be an amazing counselor right now. Have you mastered it? And they said, no, I can't even do it yet. After 4 years. Now, that model of like very academic and very little practical, that's not the way I personally teach. There's no good way or bad way or right way or wrong way. But like in q-rit, for example, the level one, it's 12 hours. That's it. So it was a 2-day course that we filmed, made into an online program you can do anytime. So you become a healer, a quantum healer in 12 hours, and you can help people with anything: anxiety, depression, aches, pains. You can help them with their biggest fears or phobias, any trauma they've had in their life. If you know anyone whose heart's closed and they're not really fully loving their life, they've got abundance issues, like you can use q-rit for any area of your life. You learn that in 12 hours. That's all the practical. That's all the theory. Then you go and practice it. And this is one of my favorite things about actually being a master, because you can read as many books as you want about swimming, but how do you master swimming? You go and get in the water. You can read as many books as you want about healing, but how are you going to become a master healer? You need to do sessions with people. You need to actually help people and build up your confidence, build up your knowledge, because the more people you help, if you're doing it from a curiosity perspective and you're really like trying to get deep into it and get curious and play with it, you're going to become better and better and better every time, especially the clients that are challenging. When everything's easy, that probably means you're in your comfort zone. If every session you do is super easy, I'll say you're probably playing safe, which is okay, by the way. I love working with people that are more challenging because it sharpens my edge as a master, as a practitioner. Now, I don't want all of my clients to be super challenging because that might be exhausting. And I charge a premium for those clients. I remember the first time I had a client who had had sexual trauma. And so many people have had sexual trauma, by the way, just it's insane. I think the statistics are 1 in 4 women have been victims of some kind of abuse, and 1 in 6 guys. And that's just the reported cases, by the way. So over a quarter of the population have got some kind of sexual trauma. I remember the first time it came up, and they'd been through a lot of different therapies before, but they came to me because it was still affecting their life. They had PTSD symptoms, they had night terrors, they couldn't sleep, really challenging. And there's me. I'm new, I'm fresh. I've done a handful of sessions, and this comes up. And this is why a lot of healers and practitioners, you can do an intake form. So in q-rit, we have an intake form where people can tell you a bit about their issue, and then you can decide if you feel like you're ready to work with those people. And we have a system where before you do sessions with clients, you practice on the other practitioners first. So in order to graduate q-rit, you need to practice with the other practitioners, do case studies, and then you can go out and do it on other people. So this is our quality control to make sure that you are at a really high level before you go out. Obviously, you could go and sit down at a bus stop with a random person and help them as you are now. Like you have been helping people your whole life. When your friends are suffering, you're probably the person that they come to. You have great wisdom. Where does that wisdom come from? Age-old wisdom. And q-rit is for anyone, whatever your belief system is. You don't need to believe anything. There's no dogma in it. But you probably know, if you are here listening to this for this long, you probably know that your wisdom comes from something way more than just your physical experience. You are tuned into this quantum field. I call it the realm of infinite possibilities, where we have access to this information that is way beyond what neuroscientists understand, because they try and operate things from the level of just the brain. But we now know that it's not just your brain that thinks. Your heart has sensory neurites that think, learn, and act independently of each other. And Dr. Bruce Lipton, he teaches that every cell in your body has its own consciousness, makes its own decisions and choices. So it gets really fun when you play at the quantum level. That's why we call it quantum regression and integration therapy because it can quantum means at the level of energy, so it goes beyond just the physical. So having this system where you practice first until you get competent and confident, and then you go out. One of the things that I try and instill in my daughters, maybe you can receive this today. If you need this, you might not need this. If my daughters can grow up trusting themselves, trusting their unique wisdom, not needing other people's approval, not checking in with someone else, but trusting their inner knowingness, trusting their truth, that they are where they are supposed to be, that if they decide they want to help someone and they have the purest intentions, that that's going to be amazing. And knowing when to say no and knowing when to say yes. If I can instill that in you, if I can help you with that, if that's all I do, if that's the only thing you get from today, it's going to be amazing. Because so many children are looking for permission from their parents. Oh, can I go and do this? If there's any part of you that thinks you have to be a certain kind of healer or a certain kind of coach or a certain kind of therapist or a certain kind of entrepreneur or whatever dancer or singer, like I invite you to throw those shoulds out of the window. You can imagine a big violet fire. You can just put them all on, just allow that violet fire to transmute them into love, send them to the highest and best place, and free yourself from it. You could imagine being surrounded in that violet fire if that works for you, or whatever way you choose to let go of those old belief systems. Violet is a very powerful color. For me, in color therapy, every color means different things. And the color of violet is very good for me for transmuting. It might be a different color for you. Again, trust your own way. And I always say to people, and this is real mastery, say, don't believe anything that I say blindly. Don't believe anything that anyone says blindly. Like, question everything. Like, be a geek about it. Don't just go, oh yeah, Luke says that we have access to infinite information, so we do. Like, go test it. Go ask other people. Go read Neil Donald Walsh's book, Conversations with God, where he talks about how this wisdom comes through that's like college level quantum physics. And then he goes and takes it to a college professor and says, hey, like, is this true? Like, is this how time really works? And they go, yeah, how do you know that? Because I don't know. The wisdom just comes from somewhere. Like go and look at how Gautama Buddha, who's the main Buddha that most people know, just sit underneath a tree and study his own body and learn how the cosmos works. And Dr. Bruce Lipton teaches a lot about that. And the way your cells work, the way your organs work, teaches you so much, but you have to be quiet enough to listen. All of the wisdom that you need is inside of you, but sometimes we get stuck. And another part of the cosmos can come and just give us a nudge. You are that part of the cosmos to so many people. You are just nudging people back into their truth to remember who they are. And that is one of your greatest purposes. And you know it. You know when you do that to someone, when you light that spark in their heart. And don't underestimate the power of planting seeds. Me and my friends, we call it light seeds. We say wherever we go, we're just spreading light seeds around. Some of them, there's a story of a farmer and he's just throwing seeds around and he's wondering why they don't grow, but he's throwing them on gravel, right? There's no way it's ever going to grow. But have you ever seen a flower growing out of concrete? I have. Some of them come through, don't they? How does that even happen? You're throwing seeds on concrete and some of them still grow. Like, how is that possible? I've seen trees growing out of the side of mountains. Have you ever seen that? There's no soil. How does a tree grow? It's the only tree. Like, how does this happen? It's so cool. Like, you might feel like that tree sometimes. Let me know if you feel like that tree sometimes. We call it the black sheep of the family, the odd one out, or everyone in our tribe in q-rit pretty much is like a weirdo, beautiful, magical being. Most of them were the odd ones out, and that's by design. Again, don't believe me, go and test it, but that's my truth. We are here as the leading edge of consciousness. You are here at this great awakening with your mastery in whatever it is. You might be a master at knitting or sewing, or you might be a master at copywriting, you might be a master at singing. Like, if you share that gift, one of my favorite things to do, because I'm really good at handstands, I was at the airport. I just was waiting in the waiting room for the flight. And I was just doing some yoga, just stretching because I knew I was going to be on a flight and be uncomfortable. And then I just did a handstand. And there was a little 4-year-old girl watching me. She starts laughing. She goes, Dad, look, this guy's doing a handstand. No, it's a public place. Weird, maybe. But it's what I wanted to do. It's a lot of benefits called inversions in yoga. So I did this inversion and then she got her dad to hold her ankles and she started doing handstands. And she had a little brother who was about 1 year old, and then he started doing it. And this is the ripple effect. I was just being me. I wasn't trying. I was just being me. And now maybe they'll go take up gymnastics, or maybe they won't. Like, I don't even know. It's not even the point. At the very most poor, beautiful thing, a child that was bored in an airport had a moment of joy, had a moment of connection with her dad and her brother and some random dude, you know. And I take great joy in that. I was walking through a supermarket and there was a parent. They were doing something shopping, and there was a child. They were in the seat in the trolley, and I just randomly did a handstand in the middle of the supermarket. And then I came back right ways, and I just gave the child a wink, and I just kept walking. And I just love to shake things up like that. When I was younger, I did something called parkour, which is free running. So you like climb on roofs and you do all sorts of weird stuff. And I kind of like this idea of just being able to shake things up at any moment. You never know what Luke's gonna do. Is he gonna pop a handstand? Is he gonna jump on the roof? Like, you just don't know. And I love it. It's so fun. Is he just randomly gonna start beatboxing? You just don't know what I'm gonna do, and it's so fun for me. I love bringing that randomness, that silliness, that playfulness. It's a part of my business. Look at that list of things that you said you are a master of. Can you make those a part of your business, part of your life? The amazing brother who shared here that he's a master of poetry. Like, can we bring that to the forefront of what you're doing? Someone saying here, I'm a master of shamanic quantum regression and integration. Yes, you are. I'm a master of sustainable living. Amazing. And at dreadlocks, phenomenal. How can you bring that? Got some great comments here. Feels like I'm in a Jedi conference. I love it. I love being here with other healers serious about healing. Yeah, amazing. I'm here to step into service fully aligned. So nice. Wayne Dyer is one of my greatest teachers and mentors, and he wrote over 44 books in his lifetime. He passed a few years ago, transitioned from the physical, and I feel such a strong connection to him. He came to me in a meditation and showed me that everything he did paved the way for me now to talk about this stuff. You know, when there's so many of these way pavers who've been doing this, Dr. Joe Dispenza, who broke his spine and healed himself in 3 months using his mind. He's been doing this since the 80s. You know, he goes and puts brain scanners on people when they meditate and sees how they heal themselves and the impact it has on these, you know, very physical results from using your consciousness. And now I can stand here, sit here, I can be on a stage. I'm speaking at festivals this year, and people come and listen. I don't even have to explain it because they already believe it now because of these other people. And maybe if you've been playing this game for a long time, one of my clients, he's a q-rit master now. He's almost finished his master's training. We have a level one, which is the foundation, which is 12 hours. We have a level two, which is the advanced level, which is 16 hours. And in level one, you learn one technique. In level two, you learn eight more techniques. So then you have nine different quantum healing techniques. It's the best things I've learned in all the different modalities, best things I've learned in my channeled wisdom. It is for people who want to play at a very high level. So this client I'm thinking of, he's been a hypnotherapist since the 1990s, a master 3 decades. He's also a master at breath work, dream work, some other things. And I really honor and respect him because he came and he said, I don't feel like these modalities I have right now are what I want to be doing. Like I feel like there's something missing. He came and learned q-rit. He absolutely loved it. He joined my 6 month mentorship program. So if you want me to work with you one on one, this is how I learned quantum healing. I found a teacher who transformed my life. And I actually asked him, he's the best healer I've ever met, still is. And I said, can you teach me? He said, no, I've never taught this to anyone before. I said, it's okay. I'll be your apprentice. Just share with me. I'll help you. Like, I don't expect anything from you in terms of your teaching. I just want to come and observe you and be around you. And I spent a couple of years training with him. And then I mastered the technique, and he would then watch me do it until I was at a very high level. This is quite a shamanic way, a tribal way of learning. You go and actually be an apprentice with someone. And we do this in certain professions in the UK. Like you can go and be an apprentice in construction. Instead of sitting in a classroom for 4 years learning about construction, you actually go and you just start building things, you know, in a very beautiful way. So you can make mistakes. In America, they say you fail fast and fail hard. You know, I like intensity when I train. That's why with q-rit, it's 2 days, the first training, 12 hours. It's intense. Everything I do is intense. So you get it quickly. It's full immersion. And think about how you teach people. Uh, this person I know who's doing their driving test, there's lots of different ways to become a master driver. Some people do one lesson, let's say it's 2 hours every week for a whole year. So that's 52 lessons. Some people do this immersive 40-hour course. You are driving from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. every day. You do that for 5 days, Monday through Friday, and then you pass your test. So you pass in 1 week instead of in 52 weeks. And that is intense. You pay more for it because it's intense. But after driving for 8 hours a day for 5 days, like you are going to be proficient, and they pass their test usually on the first time. Now, nothing's better or worse. It's just a different way. But I like that way. I like intense. Let me know. Do you like intense? Do you like to learn like deep, deep, deep like that? I call it full immersion. So that's how I teach. If you come to the live trainings, we have live level ones, live level twos, and live masters trainings. We also now have trained master practitioners. So you have the level one, the foundation technique, level two, the 8 more powerful techniques. Each of those 8 techniques complements the first, but takes you even deeper. Level two is the deepest thing I've ever taught. It is absolutely mind blowing. As you come through it, I suggest to do it over 4 weeks because it's so deep. As you come through it, you will be one of the most powerful quantum healers in the world, guaranteed. If you master those 8 techniques and the foundation q-rit, you will be a phenomenal healer. You cannot not be. You will be at the pinnacle of the healing, and you'll be able to perform what seem like miracles. And another quote I love is this concept called Clark's Law. And this works really well if you think about mastery. It says any sufficiently advanced technology will seem like magic. And if you've ever watched a great magician, it looks like magic, right? The sleight of hand, but they've mastered a system, right? It's a technique. And I love the shows where the magicians show the behind the scenes, by the way. It's one of my favorites. I was just watching one this crazy card trick recently. I get geeky about stuff. It's one of my superpowers. Uh, Even when I'd watched how he did the technique, I still could never do it because it take me so long to practice. I'd probably have to practice for years for this technology to seem like magic. But with q-rit, you can perform magic even just after doing the level one. You can heal people's pain. Gone. You can go on my YouTube channel if you haven't already. So if you just go to YouTube now and type in Luke Scott anxiety testimonial, and you'll see one of our q-rit practitioners. She did level one, just level one. She hadn't done level two. So it's just the foundation technique, the 12 hours. And she worked with this child who was 8 years old, I believe, who had crippling anxiety and couldn't even leave the house. Now that's crazy, right? That there's children who are so anxious they don't even want to leave the house. She was basically scared, terrified to leave the house. There's a statistic in America that 25% of people in high school, children in high school, are on some kind of medications right now, whether that's for depression or anxiety or psychosis or ADHD or whatever it is. Like 25% of these high schoolers, these teenagers are medicated because we're not taught how to actually cure things at the root. Most people who have depression, that can be completely cleared because depression always, in my experience, it's difficult when you say like statements that are so like that, but so let me say, in my experience, every person who's come to me who has depression, it's because there is something in their life that is out of alignment and it is causing them so much pain. Now, that might be that there's something in their brain that needs to be reconfigured. Might be that they're not producing enough serotonin. So then we look at, okay, how do we reprogram your mind to release more serotonin? Is there a blockage there? Is there a trauma? Is there something stuck? Is it your body? Is your brain actually working perfectly, but your gut isn't working because 90% of serotonin comes from your gut, by the way. So if you're eating junk food, it blocks serotonin production. So I always look at the physical aspects the mental, the mind aspects, because we can change your physical body, we can detox, we can clear you out, we can do a cleanse, we can reprogram your mind. It's called neuroplasticity. So you can literally rewire your mind. You need to be in a certain brainwave state. It's a slow brainwave state. The the one I tend to use the most is called theta brainwave state. It's very slow. That's the brainwave state you get taken in a deep hypnosis. Q-rit is like hypnosis, but there's no trance. There's no going down a staircase. There's no eyelids getting heavy. There's none of that. No fluffy clouds or anything. That's I call that old school hypnosis. You don't need to do that. Um, my hypnotherapy teacher, or one of them, he told me that he called that theatricals. He said people expect it, but you don't need to do it. You can just click your fingers and people get into state. You've probably seen stage hypnosis where they do that. They just boom, you're in, and it's like, oh, straight in. So that's more how we do it in q-rit. You get in a moment. I'm very direct. I just cut straight through all the stuff. You'll see if you come and join q-rit. I'll post all the links and everything below if you're interested. And I'll put the link below as well. If you have not yet tried q-rit, I'll put the link below for a completely free q-rit session with me. Just try it out. One of my students has watched this over 10 times, and he says every time he watches it, he clears another layer, another level, a different aspect of his life. This training is this free session is purposefully made so you can use it for any area of your life. If you want to attract a romantic partner, or if you want to get a better job, or if you want to improve your health, or if you want to overcome a fear or a phobia, or if you have an addiction, if you want to quit smoking, or you can just plug this in and people are getting miracles from this free session. So try that out if you haven't already. Obviously, we can do paid sessions if you want to as well. Just send me a message. I'll explain everything. So clearing things at the mind. One of the things, because I've had conventional therapy for years, yeah, I've been through the mental health system, and so has my wife. We've had a lot of struggles with mental health. Um, one of my close family members was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia, so I was around that growing up. A lot of people were suicidal, addicted to drugs, addicted to alcohol. There was a lot of violence and craziness in my family life. But there was a lot of beauty as well, a lot of kindness, a lot of generosity. And I really saw how substance abuse like affects people, how it affected me. I'm sober 8 years now. I completely overcame my addictions to alcohol and sugar, and I overcame my addiction to dairy and meat. And I'm really trying to live the cleanest life that I can. Um, it's ongoing. I find any addiction that you have is usually rooted in some kind of emotional incident that happened, whether that's a trauma or if you're using it for escape. Like there's something at the root cause of your addiction that we can clear. And this is where traditional therapy fails and most talking therapies because it only works on the level of the mind. We want to come to the level of the emotion. And whatever you are a master at, when you can connect people's emotion to it, or when you can connect your emotion to it, you are so much more likely to persist with it. If you have a deep reason, I had a client and they said they wanted to learn guitar. And there's this questioning process you can do. I'll just teach you this. You can all have this. It's powerful. It's called the 7 whys. So you just ask why. So I said, why do you want to learn guitar? And he said, oh, I think it would be cool, and I want to be able to do songs at whenever. And I said, yeah, but why? Oh, I guess I saw my dad used to play guitar, and whatever it was, and then why, and then why and why 7 times, and we got to the final why. He said, I want to be able to play guitar so I can really connect with my son. I think it would be a beautiful bonding experience. So now playing guitar, learning guitar, mastering guitar has this emotional charge to it. Can you feel how different that is to just wanting to look cool to now, if I spend time and master this, I'll be able to do this with my son and we can have a beautiful relationship around music together. How much more likely is that person to do it? So think about when you're with your students, if they're not doing what you're asking, are you really tapping into their real deepest why? There's a great book by Simon Sinek called Start With Why. If you're not really clear on why you're doing this right now, when a hurdle comes up, when a challenge comes up, you might just quit. That was never a possibility for me with healing because I had so much trauma and my heart was closed and I had all these addictions and I wanted to be a better human and I wanted to be a powerful human and I knew it. So I persisted with it and then I started teaching it to other people. And when you teach things to other people, you learn them on a whole deeper level. And this is one of the great joys of being a master is having students. I love teaching. I love sharing. I've got a big smile on my face right now. This is a joy to me. I, I'm so thankful that I overcame my fear of speaking to be able to do this. Now, I was a sales trainer before this. I call it my past life. I worked for a $2 billion company. We had 16,000 employees, and I was a sales trainer, and it was intense. And I was so good in a classroom, with a PowerPoint presentation, teaching whatever. But when I started teaching my own stuff, so many blocks. And those blocks, and again, this is not something you have to believe. And I'm not even saying this is absolute truth, but this is how I have seen it. And this helped me to clear it. So I'll share this with you. I saw this vision of me in a past life, different incarnation. It felt like me, but it was a different person. And he was basically persecuted and killed for being a spiritual teacher. And that was still in my memory, whether you say that's held in your genetic memory or if that's in your cellular memory or however you perceive it to be. There was this fear that if I speak about healing, I'll get killed. And there's a lot of stories to back this stuff up, right? People who go against big pharma, people who, go against the energy companies and make free energy machines, and then they get disappeared, right? And there was this big fear in me, and it was even there. I was in a park, I was in a public park, and I really wanted to like connect with this tree and talk to a tree, and it was calling me, and I was scared that someone was going to call the police and I would get arrested. I was scared I was going to get sent to a psychiatric institution because that happened to my family member who was schizophrenic. And then when I worked with this quantum healer and he helped me go into this fear, it showed me when I was 10 years old, I was sent to a psychiatric institution. This is a true story. I basically was my mum and my dad split up when I was around 18 months old, and I had a younger brother who's about 6 months old. So there was some trauma and challenges there. And like I said, there were a lot of sketchy things in our upbringing. And for whatever reason, I grew up to be quite a troubled child. And I ended up being violent and getting kicked out of school multiple times. And the doctors and the teachers recommended I should go and get assessed in an institution to find out what was wrong with me in their words, right? And that assessment was 6 weeks in a psychiatric hospital with people who were like bulimic, self-harming, schizophrenic. I remember I was in class with this guy and he just flips the table over and then big guys in white jackets come and pin you down and I was pinned down multiple times and I was only 10 years old, right? in there with very unwell people. And I'd repressed all of this. So this is one of those things again. You think about mastery, really look back at your life. I was already learning about mental health at 10 years old in a psychiatric institution, receiving therapy, being pinned down if I was uncooperative. And I learned really quickly that if I was honest with my therapist, they were going to keep me in there forever. So I started lying to them. And this is one of the big problems with conventional therapy, I believe. Again, find your own truth. If I said, yeah, do you know, I'm really struggling and I'm actually thinking about hurting someone, they would write something down in their notepad and then I would be in trouble. So I just pretended, even if I'd had a scary dream or, I was having dark thoughts, I just pretended. I said, you know what, I'm actually feeling a lot better. I actually ran away from the psychiatric institution. They take your shoes, so you can't run away, but I ran away barefoot. I remember I was hiding down this country lane and trying to plan, but I was only 10, right? It was only 10. It was doomed to fail. Just trying to plan how can I get away from here? Don't want to be a prisoner because I knew I was very smart, very intelligent child. And now I know because I'm very sensitive and I have all these superpowers and psychic gifts and abilities that again I've mastered to a very high level. So I I teach people how to activate their gifts and abilities. This is a part of q-rit. You will find your unique gifts, whether that's clairvoyance, like being able to see visions of the future. I've mastered that to a really high level. There's so many different clairaudience and clairsentience, and like you will have your own different superpowers. So I was this super sensitive child in a psychiatric institution, and I ran away, and then I learned, okay, this is a game. I'll just have to lie. So I started playing their game. Yeah, I'm feeling better. Yeah, do you know, thank you. I think this is really working. What you said last week, that really helped. I've been thinking about it and yeah, I've stopped doing that now. I was just lying, but it got me out of the institution after 6 weeks. And they gave me my diagnosis. And the diagnosis was that there was nothing wrong with me and actually that I was a gifted child, that I was a genius and did my IQ tests and stuff. And I used to have an IQ of 147, which is not like a Stephen Hawkins level, but it made me very um, intelligent to a level where I could read what most people were doing. And in an average room, I usually got things a lot quicker than most people. And again, you have your superpowers. Maybe intellect is one of them. Maybe sensitivity is one of them. And here's a game for you. What do people tell you you are too much of? Let me know in the chat. Did you ever get told you were too sensitive? If you did, that's probably a superpower. You've probably mastered sensitivity to a very high level. When I say mastered as well, by the way, you could think about it this way. Are you better at it than 95% of people in the world? If you're better than 99% at, someone's put here a singing, if you're better than 99% of people, if there's a random 100 people in a room, if you know you're going to be one of the best singers in that room, you are a master. You could teach that other 95% or 97% or whatever. You could teach them, right? And as you teach beginners, you'll become more advanced. This is how I learned a lot of things. So when I first started public speaking, I started teaching people and I said, hey, I'm just like a few steps ahead of you right now, but let me share this with you. And as I was teaching them, I had to go deep and learn things at a different level. Your brain, your neural network in your brain, it rewires itself when you step into mastery and teaching because you have to explain things in a way that even a 5-year-old can understand. It's a famous quote. I'm not sure who it's by. Uh, it's an idea that if you can't explain the subject in a way that a 5-year-old can get, then you don't understand it well enough. So what were you too much of? Someone saying here, I was in trouble a lot from knowing things that I shouldn't. Amazing. Amazing. How do you know that? You can't know that. You're just a kid. Well, I do know it. Omniscience, all knowing, having access to infinite information in the quantum field. I'm really conscious of this with our daughters. If you are a parent, and it is challenging sometimes to navigate being a parent and being a human, and with all the ups and downs that life brings. My truth is, if your child is in another room, they still feel what you're feeling, even if they don't hear the words. And my wife is from Pakistan. She speaks another language. She speaks a language called Urdu. And she thinks that if she speaks in Urdu, the children won't know what she's saying, but they do. They feel it. They don't necessarily understand the words, but when you're a baby, you don't understand any words and you still know what your parents are saying. And animals know what you're saying. Dogs and cats know what you're saying, even though they don't understand your language, because they can feel it in your words. And that's one of my superpowers. It makes me be a great therapist because people tell me something and I don't just hear the words, I feel what's behind the words. Let me know if you have that as a superpower. And then I get these questions and I ask them, I say, when you said that, I got a feeling about this. And then they start crying. So yeah, seeing and knowing things. I'll share a great story about this. The quantum healer who helped me, who I was the apprentice of, I was at an event. It was an event about conscious relationships, and I was there to learn because it was about masculine energy and feminine energy, and it was about polarity. And I realized my relationships hadn't really been working well up to that point, and I wanted to go deeper into tantra and the tantric teaching. So I wanted to learn more about how I could be in my masculine power and then create polarity with my partner when they're in their feminine power. We can boom be like magnets. So I was at this event and this guy comes up to me and he said, were you abandoned when you were a child? And I said, yeah, kind of. And he said, I can see something about a hospital. I said, yeah, my mum sent me away to a psychiatric institution when I was a child. He says, you need to work on that. And then he just walked off. And I was blown away because I didn't even tell anyone about this. Friends, my girlfriend, like no one, because I didn't even know it was important. I wasn't used to talking about my traumas or my background or anything. My conversations with friends were very surface level. We used to talk about football and beer and parties and, celebrities that we had attractions to. It was, that was the depth we would go to, except in rare moments where we were drunk or on drugs, and then we might actually show a real part of our soul. Like I say that we have like a treasure chest in our heart, and sometimes it just peeks open and we like show people a little bit of who we truly are, and then if we get hurt, we close it shut. That's how most people are living their life. That's how I was. Um, so I went up to this guy and I said, "How could you know that?" He said, I can see people's energy fields. Some people call it your aura. I can see people's energy fields. It's one of my superpowers. And he said, I could see in your energy field this big abandonment energy. So I connected to it and I followed, he calls it following the thread. I followed the thread back and I saw a vision, because he has clairvoyance, of you and your mum at that hospital. And I was just blown away. This was news to me. This was in 2016, before I had my awakening. I had my awakening in 2016, shortly after this. And he said, don't worry, we can cure it, we can heal it, we can get rid of the trauma, get rid of the abandonment energy. He said, then you won't keep attracting abandonment. He said, whatever's in your energy field, you keep attracting because your soul wants to clear it. So we'll clear it. I also had a lot of anger, so we'll clear that. And he said, we can also clear things for your ancestral line. We can clear things in your family too, to help them. And I just said yes, and I signed up with him. We did 12 sessions in 12 weeks. It was over 3 months. And it was like every session was profound. He knew the exact thing to say at the exact right time because he was a master. And I would just cry like a baby. You know those real deep sobs, those deep cries, like snot all coming down the face. And it was amazing. I would feel so much lighter after every session. It's like you're peeling away a layer. After 12 sessions, I was transformed. It was caterpillar to butterfly. I was a different person. And that, by the way, comes with challenges. If we think about mastery, when you are a master at something, that's amazing. But you also then see a lot of other people's unconsciousness. When you become a master singer, it can be quite painful to listen to people who are not good singers because you can pick up on those subtle things. And I even struggle when it comes to listening to a lot of famous artists in the charts because I can feel in their voice their trauma. I can feel, and when you listen to something, it changes you. Sound waves change matter. If you've ever seen them blast sound waves at water, you see it changes. They do it with sand. They put sand out and they blast it with certain frequencies, and it makes these amazing geometric patterns. So whatever you listen to changes you. So if someone's singing to you and they've got a lot of trauma energy in their voice, that somehow affects you. When I would eat food that had died, so animal products, steak used to be my favorite food and beer was my favorite drink. When I became sensitive to energy after my awakening, I would eat a steak and then I would start crying. And I was like, this is weird. In my worldview, because I was used to bodybuilding, like steak was good for me. Arnold Schwarzenegger tells me to eat steak. But I learned how to meditate. Again, it took me about 6 months to master meditation. Let me know if you've committed to mastering meditation. Remember, we talked about what are you willing to commit to? There's a great word, decide. That when you decide, if you study etymology, so when you decide something, side is like genocide, homicide. It means to cut off, to kill off, to get rid of. So to decide means to get rid of any other options, like to cut off any other options. Like this guy, he decided to get good at guitar. Like it was going to happen. I decided I was going to be healthy, so I am. It's like it's such a powerful thing. Tony Robbins, who's one of the most famous speakers and coaches in the world, he tells this story about burning the boats. He said like it was a military strategy when people were going to like take over an island. You would land on your boats and you would burn the boats. Now, the only way that those soldiers could survive is if they won the battle. So they were so motivated because otherwise they would die. And it is like that is a strategy that you can apply, obviously, in a different context. For some people, you might not be a burn the boats kind of person, but if that fires you up, like, are you fully all in? Are you in that intensive 5 day driving course where you will be an amazing driver by the end of it? That's how I teach public speaking, by the way. I do this 5 day intensive. It's called the StandOut Speakers University. 5 days intensive. We start at 9 a.m. and we finish at 9 p.m. It's 12 hours in the day for 5 days. So you do 60 hours of public speaking training. Like you will be an amazing speaker by the end of it. Tony Robbins, he does these events called UPW, and you start at 8 a.m. and you finish at like 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. some days. You know, it's intensive. It's like 16 hours of learning, reprogramming you at the cellular level. Like, I invite you to get more intense with your training, whatever your training is. If you want to be an amazing martial artist, like get intense with it. There's an energy difference between being a dabbler, like dipping your toe in the water, going to the gym once a month, and being a pro, being a professional speaker, being a professional healer. Like, let me know if you are a dabbler right now, if you just, you're kind of half in, or are you a pro? You like fully in? Are you committed to your mastery of the thing, whatever it is, singing or dancing or. So I mastered meditation. It's fun going off in tangents because I don't have a script, by the way, so I'm just sharing from my heart. Let me know if this is hitting the sweet spot, by the way. Let me know what gems you are getting from this. Comment in the chat. It's also good for you as a tool when you share the things you learn. So I would meditate and I would say, why am I crying when I'm eating steak? Why am I feeling sadness? And I got told because I'm a geek. I love physics. I did physics my A levels in school. I did physics, maths, and business. Right, so I'm a geek that loves business. So I've always loved physics, how the world works, fascinated by it. And I got reminded that energy can never be created or destroyed. It's only transferred, and everything is energy. So if I'm eating something that has been killed, that has fear energy in it, has death, it has sadness, and depending on the quality of the animal's life, probably has some kind of trauma, PTSD, especially anything you buy from a supermarket is raised pretty much in an industrial farm, unless you like go to a really fancy supermarket. And all pretty much anything you eat in a restaurant is almost certainly raised in an industrial farm. So they've been in a cell their whole life. The cows have never touched grass. The chickens have been in a cage. So deep sadness, trauma, PTSD. The cows get their babies taken away. It's really crazy. I watched these videos of these cows crying with PTSD. Then I realized, whoa, if I eat that, my body has to process that somehow. And I tested it. I went to a supermarket and I picked up an egg and I just held the egg in my hands and I felt the energy of the egg and it was sadness. It was trauma. Because how can a traumatized chicken lay anything other than a trauma energy egg? And I was like, whoa, I've been putting this in my body this whole time. No wonder my life is a mess. No wonder I'm so challenged and traumatized. We become what we consume. And I'm not telling you to eat any particular kind of way, like find your way. I would advise you become very sensitive to what you eat, the energy that you consume, the things you listen to, the people you are around. Like it all becomes a part of you at that genetic level. They say you become the average of the people you spend time with. So spend time with people on your vibe. That's why with q-rit we have a community. So everyone can do sessions on each other. You can basically right now, it will change in the future, but right now you can get unlimited one-on-one sessions with the other practitioners for life, included in the course. Soon we're going to implement a membership structure. We're like building a new website. We're going to make it into a membership, like a paid per month thing. But right now, you get free sessions for life when you join q-rit. So it's a great time to join if you've been thinking about it. At least join the level one, or you can come and do the master's level, which gets you all three levels. You get level one, level two, and the master practitioner. You can get them all three for a super special price in one. Um, I had no idea. Even though I knew physics better than 99% of people on the planet, I had never applied it in the way that quantum physics teaches you. Because if everything is energy, it just is a no-brainer that if you've got trauma from your childhood, it can't go unless you transmute it somehow. Like if you feel anger on a daily basis, where does that anger energy go? Unless you have a way to express it and release it, hopefully a healthy way. I have scars all over my hands because I used to fight. I used to do martial arts. I used to do cage fighting, like MMA. And that was a way for me to express my anger, but it wasn't a healthy way. So now I use things like q-rit, quantum healing, energy healing, hypnotherapy. I use dancing. I use grounding and earthing. I get regular massage. I get regular energy healings done on myself to transmute those energies, clear them. We say release, remove, and clear. So to clear them at the deepest level, I go back into my childhood traumas to unpack them, change the way we think about them so we can let them go, transmuted into love. Because when you see things from a different perspective, it changes everything. And again, quantum mechanics teaches that time doesn't exist in the way we think it does. So if you have mastered, let me know if you've mastered quantum physics, anyone, or if you know more than 99% of people about quantum physics. Again, remember a master is an eternal student, right? So even if you're in the 99% most knowledgeable people, and if you just think about that as in terms of the world, I believe there's 8 billion people in the world, roughly, supposedly. So work out what 1% of that would be. So that means if you're in the top 1%, means you're in the top 80 million people on the planet. And you could teach the other almost 8 billion people. Isn't that a cool way? These are what I call paradigm shifts. So these are different lenses to see the world. Here's a cool one. How much money do you think you need as your net worth in order to be in the top 1% wealthiest people on the planet? To be in the top 1% wealthiest people in the planet, what do you think your net worth needs to be? So your net worth is your assets minus your liabilities. So whatever your companies are worth or your houses or whatever minus your what you owe. There's a company called Credit Suisse, and they say you need to have $831,000 to be in the top 1%. $831,000. So in the UK, in London, anyone who owns a house in London is pretty much, if they own it without a mortgage, is pretty much in the top 1% wealthiest people in the world. Just being a homeowner. And there's an idea, uh, they say that 83% of all statistics are made up on the spot. But this is, I've seen this. Um, if you have any positive number in your bank account, if your net worth is positive, you are in the top 50% wealthiest people in the world. Like most people in the world have a negative net worth. Isn't that amazing? Like even if you've got $5 in your account, you're in the majority, most wealthiest people. And if you were born in a country like the UK or America, just by being born here, you've already put yourself in the top wealthiest people in the world, even if you have zero in your account. Isn't that really interesting? A lot of people have stories about why they can't do things. I'd love to share with you some of the stories. This is a ninja trick, by the way, I'm about to share with you. So, this is the kind of thing I teach in the q-rit Master Practitioner program. So, you do the level one, the foundation, the level two, the advanced. Then, if you want to become a master teacher, you do the Master Practitioners course. And that is 24 hours of deep training. And you can then initiate people into level one and level two. So, it works really similar to being a Reiki master or a hypnotherapy master or an NLP master. You can then teach people level one, level two. I share all my ninja tricks, like the behind the scenes stuff, like the stuff people almost never tell you. So I'm about to drop that on you right now. Some of that, if you are psyched about being a master teacher, we get a lot of Reiki masters who come and do q-rit, and they say it transforms their life and it becomes their main modality. They say that it complements Reiki so well. I shared my client earlier, master hypnotherapist, 30 years, q-rit transformed his life. I've got another client who's a master counselor. They've done over 10,000 client sessions, and they want to come learn q-rit because it's going to add a new element to them. So if you're already a master at something, come and add q-rit to your mastery. It will be amazing for you. So here's a behind the scenes thing of why you might make excuses. And someone commenting here, what was the main modality that your teacher was using? So he did what I do. So I learned from him. He takes the best bits from all different modalities. He was like me. He trained in energy healing, shamanism, hypnotherapy, timeline therapy, color therapy, or everything you can think of. He'd done all these different courses. I love going on courses. I love going on trainings. I love going to new modalities. But what he did and what he taught me to do is how to also channel my own stuff in meditation. So within q-rit, there are certain parts of q-rit and techniques within the first 9 techniques that you learn that have come from me. They are completely from, like I said, this bigger me. So it gets so fun when you start to play with that. So why might people make excuses? There is a phenomenal book called The Magic of Thinking Big. I highly recommend it. I think it's by David Schwartz. It was one of the first books I was ever given by one of my first mentors. He was a multimillionaire. He gave it to me when I was in university. I started one of my first businesses, and he gave me this book, and he mentored me and coached me on how to build my business. And he uh, he showed me it was even possible to be a millionaire. Like no one in my family had even been to university. I was the first person. And he's teaching me how to be a millionaire at 18 years old. And I just geeked out into these books and I got right into personal development. So I've been doing all of this stuff now for almost 20 years. So there's this thing called excusitis. It says it's the biggest disease in the world. Excusitis. People always have an excuse. So if you want to be a master, we have to banish excusitis. We have to find a way to overcome that. Let me know if you know what I'm talking about. Excusitis. I'm too whatever. I'm too old. No, you're not. Fit old boy started working out at 62. Colonel Sanders, who founded KFC, I think he got his big break when he was in his mid 60s. Whatever excuse you have, I'll tell you 10 stories of someone who's had the exact same issue and they overcame it. This is one of the cool things with quantum healing as well, by the way. So we have an association called the Quantum Healers Alliance. If any of you are practitioners of any modality, if you love quantum healing, holistic healthcare, we're on a mission to transform the entire healthcare industry to bring together 1 million quantum healers from all different modalities. It's completely free to join our alliance. You can just search on Facebook for Quantum Healers Alliance or send me a message saying Quantum Healers Alliance and I'll send you the details. We just did a conference. I've got the full recording. It will blow your mind. We are building healing centers all over the world. We've got a goal to build a healing center, at least one, in 144 different countries. So there are around about 195 countries in the world. We're going to build healing centers in almost every country, wherever we're allowed, wherever it's welcomed. And we're going to present to people how they can actually cure their issues instead of just treating the symptoms. Because that's a big problem in our healthcare system. One of my family members was on almost 40 tablets a day. And they were diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia, like I said, and they died a few years ago. And before they died, I spoke to one of their doctors and I said, what is the plan to get them off these medications? Because they are not themselves. They take something to bring them up in the morning and something to bring them down at night. And this tablet makes them constipated. So they take that tablet to help them be able to go to the bathroom. It's like a chemistry set. And the doctor said, there is no plan. Like we can't take them off anything because whatever we've given them, if we take them off it, it will affect another thing, you know. So they just kept adding things in, and this is the Western medical system for most diseases or illnesses. They tell you you will be on pharmaceuticals for life, but you don't need to do that. We can actually cure it at the root. So I, with Cure It, when I was told to launch it, the slogan is whatever is happening in your life, we can cure it with Cure It. And I love that. We have to be a little bit careful with um, the advertising agencies saying what we can and can't cure. Have to be a bit creative sometimes. There's a CBD company in England, and you're not allowed to say that CBD cures, you know, whatever it is. And I was driving down the highway, and there's this billboard, and it said, "We're not allowed." This is a big billboard, right? Advertising space. Said, we're not allowed to say that our CBD cures insomnia. And then in brackets, it says, but you could say that. And I was like, yes, you know, sneakily finding ways to like play the system. So, excuse-itis, what are your excuses right now? Look at that list of things that you are in the process of mastering. If it's being a healer, if it's launching a successful business, if it's creating freedom for yourself and your family, if it's building a legacy, if it's changing the world, if it's building health centers, like whatever your thing is, cleaning up the oceans, what excuses are you making? And get really real with yourself. Just take a breath. I know this might be challenging. Some of you might be thinking, oh, I should log off right now, but stick with it. This is gold here. This is like extracting gold. This is what people pay me thousands of pounds for. It's for this exact kind of discomfort. Because if you stay in your comfort zone, nothing grows there. So dig deep, look back, you know yourself, write down every excuse that you have right now or that you have said in the past 12 months. Everything that is keeping you from shining your brightest, write them down. Just get the list. Just write down the list. Every excuse. What is it? When you understand this, you can start to work on them. So this is the ninja trick. This is like what the best marketers do. If you're building a business, like do this with your ideal client. Figure out whatever excuses for why they might not be doing whatever it is. If you're a master, if you're a teacher, your students, like what are the actual things holding them back, and then speak into that. So if they're saying, I don't have time, it's one of the most common excuses. They're saying I don't have time. Like, is that true? Are they watching Netflix for 3 hours a day? Are they efficient with their time? Have they even got a good time management system in place? Everybody gets 24 hours. They sleep for 8 hours. What are they doing for the other 16? Can they wake up earlier and do 2 hours of powerful production before their children wake up? Of course you can. I have two children. My daughter wakes up around 6 a.m. So if I want to be powerful, I have to wake up before 6 a.m. What are their excuses? Let me know in the chat, in the comments. If you're watching this on the replay, let me know in the comments as well. We can come back. We can help each other here. Like, get really real. Another big one, people say, I don't have money. I'd love to join your course, Luke, but I don't have money. I'd love to be a master healer. Um, but I've got this happening right now. Here's one of the best things I was ever taught by one of my mentors. I actually joined his course. It was £12,000. It's a 1 year training program with him. Changed my life. And this is one of the best things I learned for £12,000. So you can get this from me for free right now. He said, there's no such thing as a lack of resources, just a lack of resourcefulness. There's no such thing as a lack of resources, just a lack of resourcefulness. And I invite you to allow that to permeate into your being. Let that ignite your entrepreneurial spirit. Whatever problem you have, there is a solution. Absolutely. If it's a health problem, there is a solution. They say that for every illness, there's a plant that can heal it. Like, whatever it is, there is a root cause for your issue. Whatever it is, we can make your life better, your quality of your life better. Joe Dispenza healed a broken spine. Anita Morjani died. She died of cancer and came back to life. Like, you can do anything. Like, go read Autobiography of a Yogi, the book by Paramahansa Yogananda. They talk about people doing miracles. Go and read The Life and Teachings of the Masters of the Far East by Baird Spalding. They talk about people doing miracles. Go and look up all the people who've healed themselves from whatever disease you have, and you will see people have healed it. Just search for how to heal from, put whatever the disease is, and then put holistically and search for it. Go on the forums, go in the holistic healing groups, like find someone who has done what you already want to do and ask them to show you how. Get resourceful. Write that down, write down, I am resourceful. Put that on a post-it note, pin it up somewhere, like make that a part of your being. Whenever I have a problem, I take some time, I find a solution, and then I implement it. Like, make that a mantra. Whatever problem I have, I find a solution and I implement it. If I need guidance, I go to someone who's already done it and I ask them to teach me how. I go and find a master and I ask them to, if I can be their student, I go and if I really don't know what to do, I find someone who's an expert and I ask them if they'll do it for me. Or I join a team and get a team. I hire someone to do the thing. Like, find a way. If you need money, go and find an investor. There is a millionaire out there or a billionaire out there that loves you. If you can pitch to them in the right way, there are grants from the government. I just got an email yesterday. It said there's new government grants just being released in the UK. If anyone's looking for a business loan, they will basically give you really great terms. Like, go and find a way. There are angel investors out there. Someone in your community has £50,000 in their bank account right now, and they are thinking about buying a house because they think that's a good investment. But you could tell them about your project and they could invest in you instead. Because buying a house right now, unless you really know what you're doing, can be very challenging. Grant Cardone, who's one of the most well-known property gurus out there, he says if you're buying a house to live in, that is not an investment. Buy a house to rent out. Buy a house and develop it. but don't buy a house to live in. That's what he says. I mean, that's not me, right? So really think about who has 100 grand in their account right now. Who do you know who's amazing with money? I'm gonna drop this bombshell on you right now. If you know anyone who says I don't have the money, type in, go to whatever search engine you want. Do it right now if you feel to. I like doing things at the speed of now, like in the now moment. Type in how many millionaires live in, and then put your country. How many millionaires live in, and then put your country. In the UK, there are about 60 million people, and there are 3 million millionaires. That means 5% of the UK population are millionaires. 1 in 20 people is a millionaire. In America, it's even crazier. In the USA, there are about 300 million people, roughly, it's a bit more, and there are 30 million millionaires. 10% of the US population are millionaires. 1 in 10 people. I have a friend who lives in Austin, Texas, and I said, type in how many millionaires are in Austin, Texas. Blows your mind. Instead of typing in your country now, type in your local area, your state or whatever, or uh, how many millionaires live in Austin, Texas. You are surrounded by wealthy people. Wealth is all around you if you learn how to pitch, if you learn how to ask for it. And you can do this on the human level, but when we start using q-rit, we do this at the energy level. We magnetize people to you. We manifest using the quantum field, using all of these gifts and abilities that you have. I have a whole course called q-rit for manifestation. If you would like a copy of it, drop me a message, say q-rit for manifestation. I'll send you the details. So you can buy that course and it will transform your life. I take you through a process. It will make you one of the most powerful manifestors in the world. Like, this is the power that you have. You already are one of the most powerful manifestors in the world. You can write down another affirmation. You can say this out loud with me. I am one of the most powerful manifestors in the world. You are top 1% of the most powerful manifestors in the world. Think about the things in your life that you have manifested, that you have magnetized, that you have created, and it will blow your mind. Most people probably don't even believe the stories when you tell them about the synchronicities in your life because you are a master manifester. What a great affirmation. I am a master manifester. I implore you to look at every excuse you wrote down and check in with, is this really true? Whatever it is. I'm too old. Go find an older person than you who did it. I'm too young. Go and find a younger person than you who did it. Can't tell you how many 20-year-old life coaches there are out there. I was 20 years old running a successful business with a team of people, teaching and coaching and guiding them. I was one of those people. I wasn't a millionaire. I was a very successful 20-year-old making more money than most people that were around me. And, you know, find your excuse and find proof. So it's not hoping that it's not true. It's not believing that it's not true. It's knowing that this is not true. Question everything. Question your beliefs. Question your bullshit. Question your excuses. Find a coach that can kick your ass. That's a great way. I've got an amazing coach at the moment. I said something to him yesterday and he said, "That's not true, Luke." And that's a story I've been carrying around. He says, "That's not true." How good is that when someone just calls you out on your bullshit? I'd love to do that for you. If you need a kick up the ass, I can be that. I'm also super soft, very sensitive. I love playing with energy and creativity and helping you tap into your creativeness because you have something so magical inside of you. And I'm going to share a Wayne Dyer quote to wrap up this training today. Wayne Dyer, one of my greatest teachers and mentors, he says, don't die with your music inside you. Don't regret at the end of your life not pursuing that thing, that burning desire, that truth that you have, that calling, that passion. Overcome your traumas, overcome your health challenges, overcome your financial challenges, overcome whatever bullshit excuses you've got, and live your life to the fullest, because you are on the leading edge of consciousness and you can inspire the next generation. And if you want to come and transform the world with me, come join the Quantum Healers Alliance, come join q-rit, come join any of my tribes, and just drop me a message if you want to discuss anything. You are amazing. If I can help you in any way, if you want me to be your mentor, if you want me to suggest anything to you, if you want to collaborate, maybe you have an idea for a project that can change the world. If I can be a part of that and I can help you on your mission, like, let's do it. You are amazing. Write that down as your final affirmation. I am amazing. And you can take that with you to the bank, because I can tell you that that is true 1000%.